My childhood wasn't filled with any great tragedies or anything. There were good times and there were bad times. I think it was fairly normal. And it just got worse and worse. I didn't know how to tell anyone about it, so I didn't. I just kept it all inside. From about 15 years on up, a great deal of my thoughts were basically unshareable with anyone. So I just closed myself off and put on a mask of normalcy. The nightmare became a reality. I have no memory of beating him to death, but I must have.
is over now. This has never been a case of trying to get free. I didn't ever want freedom. Frankly, I wanted death for myself. This was a case to tell the world that I did what I did not for reasons of hate. I hated no one. I knew I was sick or evil or both. Now I believe I was sick. The doctors have told me about my sickness, and now I have some peace. I know how much harm I have caused. I tried to do the best I could after the arrest to make amends, but no matter what I did, I could not undo the terrible harm I have caused. I feel so bad for what I did to those poor families, and I understand their rightful hate. I decided to go through this trial for a number of reasons. One of the reasons was to let the world know that these were not hate crimes. I wanted the world in Milwaukee, which I deeply hurt, to know the truth of what I did. I didn't want unanswered questions. All the questions have now been answered.
Jeffrey Dahmer murdered 17 young men over 13 years. He would cut open his victims for his own sexual pleasure, preserve their severed body parts, and towards the end eat their thighs, biceps and hearts. But how did this once apparently innocent child turn into one of the world's most gruesome serial killers? Did circumstance drive Dahmer to carnage and cannibalism, or was he born to kill? Jeffrey Dahmer was one of the most infamous serial killers of modern times. His name is synonymous with mutilation, necrophilia, and cannibalism.
You think of the crimes that he committed, they're so horrific, you kind of think only a madman or somebody totally evil incarnate would do this. But when you talked with Jeff Dahmer, you just did not get this idea. He could be engaging, he could be bright, witty, he could make jokes. He was able to fool a lot of people.
People that worked with him had no idea that he was a violent man. This was part of the real danger of Jeffrey Dahmer. He could join you or me at lunch and no one would detect that he was a violent person.
Jeffrey Dahmer on the surface was not an abnormal appearing individual. He was fairly good looking, he was well spoken, he was articulate.
Never in a million years would I have guessed a homicidal maniac. To me, he's always been really a tragic figure, which is kind of hard for a lot of people to understand. But I don't really think of him as, you know, the serial killer monster. I just think of him as this kid who was spiraling out of control and nobody stopped him.
Jeffrey Dahmer grew up in the small rural town of Bath, Ohio, a middle-class boy from Middle America. Robert Ressler, an FBI behavioral analyst and the man responsible for coining the phrase serial killers, was called in to interview Dahmer. His years of experience interviewing serial killers such as John Wayne Gacy gave him a unique insight into Dahmer's mind.
There is no evidence with Jeffrey Dahmer of any severe mistreatment or abuse in his childhood. His mother had a mental problem. She was depressed most of the time. She slept a lot and dropped out of family activities. The father was a PhD chemist and a very busy and very intelligent man who spent a great deal of his time at work.
Pat Kennedy worked the beat in Milwaukee for over 25 years. Back in the summer of 1991, he was assigned to the Jeffrey Dahmer case and spent 6 long weeks with him. He knew him better than most.
He was a product of upper white middle class. He was educated. He came from a family of means.
Yet the fractures in his parents' relationship left a young Jeffrey feeling isolated. His interests turned to animals. He viewed them very differently to how most children look upon their pets.
He stated when he was a very young child, 7 or 8, he had found a decomposed squirrel. And the bones were there. He kind of took it apart. He said that he found a roadkill and he wanted to see what was inside it, like a raccoon or a dog. He brought that home. A dead dog that he found on the side of the road was hit by a car, cut that open and looked at the insides of that.
Jeffrey started to do this from a very young age. He would roam the surrounding countryside looking for roadkill to add to his growing macabre collection. His fascination with bones would continue into his adulthood, but he would eventually move from animals to humans.
As he got to be about 13 or 14 and he was coming into his sexual awareness, that he had had some kissing with another boy in the neighborhood, and he realized that he was attracted to boys. Becoming aroused sexually, and the cutting up of these animals somehow became enmeshed together. So what he did as a young man with animals, he eventually did do later on in life with human beings.
John Backduff first met Jeffrey Dahmer when they were at school together.